with the 7th pick, Brock Vereen.
I've established that I'm going off of my gut, and even though on paper, the first time through, I kept trying to put this team further down because I'm so unsure of what kind of year they're gonna have, and I couldn't look at their defense being ranked higher than lot of teams that I feel are gonna succeed much more than them. But we're going with our gut, Kyle. And I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm trying not to overthink this. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin has established that as long as Mike Tomlin is the head coach of this team, he is going to give me the tools, or any other defensive coordinator the tools to compete. And they're always going to compete. Now, again, obviously, you got Aaron Rodgers. This is a new look offense. Does anybody have them pushing for a Super Bowl? Probably not, but this defense is going to be at a Super Bowl caliber. I love what they did. They signed Darius Slay, veteran, experienced cornerback, was a very thin position for them a year ago. Juan Thornhill, snagging Juan Thornhill out of Kansas City. This guy just balls, strong safety, free safety, nickel. He can do anything. And of course, up front, you have Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward had 8 sacks in his 14th season in the NFL. This guy is Hall of Fame bound. Rookie Derek Harmon, I'm excited to see him. Oh, yeah, and how about TJ Watt? How about TJ Watt? How about the 3-man rotation? TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig, who got some very good reps when Alex Highsmith went out with injury. I mentioned the cornerback position on the back end and how thin it was a year ago, but their safety position is so deep. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, rookie Sebastian Castro from Iowa can do a lot of things. They're going to make it work. It's not as sexy as Pittsburgh usually is. Obviously, the story of this year is going to be about their offense, but I see their defense making a whole lot of noise.
Okay. I love this pick, and for many of the reasons that you just stated, but for one in particular, you mentioned one guy by the name of Aaron Rodgers. And one thing that this team has struggled with is being able to string these drives together, which leaves your defense out there on the field, and they got their tongues hanging out. And these dragon slayers at the end position, the outside linebacker position, they don't have enough juice to get home as much as they should be. And they're still getting home a lot. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers can string some drives together. Imagine if this offense can put some points on the board. Put that Pittsburgh Steelers front-facing edge rushing group out with their ears pinned back and know you're going to pass the ball. Watch what happens then. I love what you said about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to go with a group that has a ton of experience, and you talked about picking a group because of coordinator first and then talking about the personnel. Well, I'm going to pick a group that's led by a brilliant man by the name of Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City, the Chiefs defense. There will always be questions about the Kansas City Chiefs. Year in, year out. It's a nature of being up at the top of the mantle. Offensively, defensively, when's Andy Reid going to be done? Do they have enough money to retain all these superstars? Well, at the end of the day, you still got to figure out a plan to block number 95, Chris Jones. And as a guy who has attempted to do that, and by a very lucky stroke of luck, I got it done a couple times. That's what it is. It's luck. It's not something that you can just prepare to do. So, and I was pretty darn good at it. A lot of guys aren't. And when you play number 95, you're going to get beat more often than you're not. He makes up for a lot going on in that defensive room. When you talked about the attacking style of defense that the Minnesota Vikings had, it reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs. There's so many ways that they can skin the cat defensively, and Spags knows which buttons to press. Now, he is without some veteran leadership on the back end. Obviously, Justin just went from Kansas City to New Orleans, and there's going to be a hole to fill there. But they've got youth. They've got the guy in the building by the name of Brett Veach, who's in charge of everything. He's the general manager, and he does a fantastic job, like Howie Roseman, bringing in the right guys for his coaches to develop. I love the Kansas City Chiefs, and it starts right there with number 95 in the middle.
I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad about that. My gut is always going to say, if you lose both of your starting safeties, you're toast next year. It changes everything. It changes communication. Now the linebackers have to relearn someone else. Now the corners have to relearn something else. But the fact is, it's Spags. And if anyone is going to make it work, it's going to be Spags. I want to throw out 2 rookies that people should not sleep on. Obviously, you have Karlaftis, you have Chris Jones, you have Menahue, you have Mike Dana, you have endless pass rushers, and they added 2 more, Jeffrey Bossa from Oregon and
Yep.
Austin Gelati from Louisville. One of those 2 is going to see a whole lot of time. Both of them are capable of it. I just
I've heard about Gelati. I've heard a lot of really good things about Gelati.
Oh,
People see his tape and they're like, what the hell? This guy's just a
yes.
dog.
Monster, and can play multiple spots, which is why I kind of give him the inside track. Obviously, Bossa went to Oregon. They had more success in Louisville. I get it. Don't sleep on Gelati. I covered a game of his. They're playing Indiana. He would be at stand-up edge. He would have his hand in the ground at a 5 technique. He could play nose. He could play D-tackle, or in other words, a Spags guy, right? What
Yep.
more can you do for me? I like the Kansas City pick. I am going to go. Oof. It's between 2 teams for me right now, 2 NFC teams, and I know that whichever one I don't pick, you're gonna take. But I have to put the Seattle Seahawks in here.
Wow.
Give me the Seattle Seahawks, a very slept on defensive front from a year ago. All right, Jaron Reed, Byron Murphy the second, who had a fantastic rookie year. Leonard Williams, 16 combined sacks. Leonard Williams had the bulk of them. But in a 3-4 defense, Cal, 16 combined sacks in a 3-4 defense from your 3D lineup is nuts. Obviously, you have a lot of sacks. You have a monster of a division. You have a division that's going to run the ball a lot. So to able to snag 16 sacks, I can't overlook that. Also, the best move they made was trading for Ernest Jones IV from the LA Rams, who desperately missed him. You saw how the Rams couldn't stop Saquon Barkley or really any running backs toward the stretches because Ernest Jones is now playing for the Seattle Seahawks. On the back end, Reek Woolen coming into his own, Josh Jobe, Devin Witherspoon sliding into that nickel position. He's eventually going to be a safety. I don't know what they're waiting for. The guy just needs to be in the middle of the defense around the ball. But for now, nickel will do. Julian Love, and one of my most intriguing rookies that was drafted, Nick Emenwari, positionless. Yep. Absolutely positionless. You cannot put a label on him. And defensive coordinator Aiden Durd is going to find a way to maximize his potential. I know who you're going to take next, and it's going to kill me, but I have to trust it here. I'm going with Seattle.
I'm convinced that you don't know who I'm going to take because you said it was NFC teams. Now I have a bevy of NFC teams in my hopper ready to go right here. Obviously, there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row NFC teams, but I'm going to go with an AFC team here.
Okay.
I believe they're an AFC team. The New York Jets.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to go with the New York Jets. I love when a new coach comes in and just sets the bar effing high for effort, for camaraderie, for football, for no bullshit. And I'll tell you what, Aaron Glenn is a no bullshit guy, and they've had a lot of bullshit in New York. And as it tends to happen, Brock, we work there every weekend. We know how it goes. The New York Jets got a quarterback by the name of Justin Fields. Now, he doesn't do a lot of talking, which plays right into the hands of Aaron Glenn and his leadership. I think it also plays into the fact that they're going to beat teams with what their defense does. Justin Fields is going to be asked not to turn the football over. They're not going to light up the scoreboard, and it's going to look more or less like an early 2000s baseball score, 14-17. 21 to 13.
How many steroid era references can we make today?
Dude, I think it's something in the water. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The Jets have great players at all levels of their defenses. And usually defenses are like when I talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, I just talked about Chris Jones, which is kind of unfair to the rest of the field here. But I've seen firsthand what he can do. When I look at the Jets, there are guys that you have to put the red circle around in the prep meeting on Wednesday. There's 4 guys you got to circle. How do you prepare for a defense like that? They're all trying to prove themselves to their new head coach and their defensive leader. They've been yearning for leadership since their head coach / defensive coordinator was ridiculously let go last year for a defense that was top 5, top 3, I would argue. Give me the Jets at 9 or whatever pick we're at. 10.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as far as to your point of elite guys at each level, Will McDonald, 10.5 sacks in his second year. Jamie Sherwood, third leading tackler in the NFL. Yes, they lose CJ Mosley, and he's a captain, but Jamie Sherwood, that's your room now. That's your defense, and he's going to step up to that challenge. And of course, Sauce Gardner didn't have the all-pro year that people were expecting for him to build off of, but it's still Sauce Gardner, and he will get back to action under Steve Wilkes. So, okay, Jets, I like it. Let me go back up and snag the team I thought you were going to take just because you are such a big fan of their head coach, the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
First-time defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard, longtime NFL linebacker and linebacker coach for Detroit, steps up into the fold. Obviously, Aaron Glenn is off east to the Jets. So here's what the Lions do. They sign DJ Reed, bring him over from the Jets to replace Carlton Davis. They lose safety Ifeatu Melifonwu, but they cash out Kirby Joseph, making him the highest paid safety at the time.
Love Kirby Joseph. Used to hate him. Love him.
He doesn't have a lot of fans in the NFL.
God, I used to hate him. And now I'm like, can I phantom right in for all pro? Because I know nobody else will.
At strong safety, Brian Branch. Brian Branch was playing nickel. Last year, they bring in a couple of rookie cornerbacks, and the expectation was, okay, they're trying to find a way to move Brian Branch to a true safety spot. That's exactly what they've done. They've officially moved him there. Here comes the health situation, right? Obviously, they were down to their fourth and fifth string literally last year coming down the stretch. How many of those guys are going to heal up in time to be the best version of themselves? I say they're ready to go by playoffs. Who cares? Right?
Yeah.
I'm telling Aiden Hutchinson, who is out there practicing and everything, hey, if you don't feel 100%, rest. We got guys. We got time. We're going to make the playoffs. If we have to sneak in as the last wild card, it's fine. We would rather be healthy at the right time, which is the plan for Malcolm Rodriguez, I believe. They said, hey, late season return. We are not rushing Malcolm Rodriguez. So, yes, they're banged up, but when they are healthy, they're going to be scary.
The cavalry will arrive.
They will arrive at the right time. And I'm not mad at this young cornerback room. Now, your Ennis Rakestraws, your Terrion Arnolds, really grabby, pretty grabby, very grabby. That was last year. You would just run around with your heads cut off, put your hands behind your back, put on boxing gloves, get old school, stop grabbing people. They're going to figure it out. And I love that they add Avonte Maddox for some depth as well, probably to take that nickel spot that Brian Branch just left. Kelvin Shepard, first-time defensive coordinator. Let's see what you got. Detroit Lions.
I love the Lions pick, but I will say this. I had him at number 9 in my original mock-up, but then I started going through the roster and all the injuries they've had and all the guys who are, they're banking on them returning as they were before physically and from a production standpoint. I just know how much a guy like Aiden Hutchinson means to this defense. And without Aaron Glenn, without the superpower of Ben Johnson on the offensive side of the ball, without teams being gotta have it situations on the offensive side of the ball, I still love the pick of where you took him. I had him even higher than this if Aiden Hutchinson didn't get injured, obviously.
Yeah.
So my next pick is going to maybe shock some people. I mean, it could shock some people. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers.
Oh.
I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. I like the Green Bay Packers a lot. Now, I hate the Packers, obviously, for
other
all
reasons.
Things. But I really like this unit. And I think a full season with a guy like Edgerrin Cooper on the field, being able to match the type of production he had last year. If you look at his stat sheet or his stat list, and I went through it with John Breach a couple of weeks ago on breakout players. I said, well, I mean, if he plays a full season and matches his production, he's going to be an all-pro. He'll be in the running for the Defensive Player of the Year. Kenny Clark, his health is going to be really important. That's a guy that I played against when he first came in the league. And from Jump Street, from a technique standpoint, from an effort standpoint, from an instinct standpoint, he showed me that he was really one of the top guys in the league immediately. Those kind of traits stick with you throughout your career. And if you're healthy enough, you can go out and produce. Kenny Clark, I fully anticipate being able to produce. I like that this Packers defense is kind of at a crossroads now in the secondary room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to have to figure out their identity, and they're going to have guys step up. I think that the offense is obviously a really good unit. They're still looking for a number one, and they might have got it in the draft, and Jaden Reed might step up. But I think they're going to score a lot of points regardless, maybe to like 8 different guys on offense. But the defense is going to have an opportunity to go prove themselves to be where we picked them here. And what is this, the 12th pick in the draft? I mean, there are a number of really good teams yet to be picked, but I'm projecting as to what I think the Packers will be this year. And I think that they're going to be the 12th best defense in the league.
Obviously, you lose Jair Alexander. Well, you get rid of Jair Alexander. That's 2 different things. And they're going to get tested early. Any quarterback who plays them in the first month is saying, we're just chucking that football and seeing what these cornerbacks got. But you have Xavier McKinney back there and his 8 interceptions from a year ago. You remember the first 5 weeks of the year? I think he had 5 interceptions, something like that. And he's licking his chops, saying, hey, young guys, I got your back. Let them test you. I'm behind you. You can play confident till we figure it out. At the end of the day, they have defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, maybe my favorite defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. He just puts guys in position to succeed, and he will need to do just that. Okay, Green Bay. I am going to go with a team that has not been out of the spotlight for never anything positive. But I can't overlook Jim Schwartz and that Cleveland Browns defense.
Yeah.
I can't possibly take another team and then have Cleveland get picked thinking, man, I probably should have taken them. It's going to be an uphill battle. Are they going to be on the field a lot? Yep, but they're always on the field a lot, Kyle. Ever since the last Baker Mayfield year, obviously Joe Flacco had that magical year, but we all knew it was going to run into a wall eventually. But outside of that, they just spend the majority of the game on the field. Their offense is going to look completely different this year. But it's Jim Schwartz, and they're going to find a way. You flirt with Myles Garrett, or Myles Garrett's flirting with leaving, begging to leave, and then you give him a check that he can't refuse. That's always going to help. They bring over Joe Tryon-Shoyinka from Tampa Bay, who was overshadowed in Tampa Bay. I feel he's going to establish himself. The issue is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah placed on PUP. He had that scary lower neck, high back injury, and he's not going to play this year. Obviously, that's a huge issue and a bigger issue than just this season. Hopefully, he can live a fulfilling life if he needs to call it, or if he does come back, make sure it's time to come back and not rush anything. But rookie Carson Schlesinger, I have him coming out of UCLA and immediately taking the place. Carson Schlesinger is going to turn heads. I thought he was a first-round linebacker. I thought the only better linebacker than him was Jihad Campbell, and I'm shocked that both of them slipped, but I'm shocked that Carson slipped to the second round. And this is a DB room that is phenomenal. Veteran guys, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, a bunch of first-round guys who can absolutely ball. Is Cleveland going to win a lot of games? No. Is Cleveland going to cause mayhem and make sure your offense doesn't score a lot of points even if you beat them? Yes.
I love that pick. And I mean, always bet on Schwartz because that dude produces defenses, angry, nasty, attacking defenses that start with the defensive line. That's always the way he's done it. And it lends itself to success. Now, can they couple that with some semblance of an offense? That's what remains to be seen. For me, the next pick is one that I know will have some semblance of an offense. And you talked about being an attacking group. And I think that this unit I'm about to name, the Los Angeles Rams, have an extremely talented attacking unit. Okay, their front got even better.
I thought I could get them later, Kyle.
Their front added Poona Ford. We love Poona Ford. The guy didn't even have to move houses. He just went up the 405 a little bit to the Rams facility. Fisk, Turner, Verse, linebacker room, Byron Young. There's a number of guys in there who can really go for this Rams group. The question is in the secondary. The great thing is with Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams, you're going to be scoring points offensively. And they've got a number of guys who can go offensively for them. You're going to have the opportunity to rush the passer. They've got real man-eaters on the defensive front. And I think that they will rush the passer. It'll be an X factor for this team. Give me the Rams.
I thought for sure I could get them later, man. That's absolutely killer. No, you're so right, because what the Rams have is the momentum of, hey, world, you saw what this defensive front and a bunch of first year, second year guys did to some dang good football teams. Watch out as they get another year of experience under their belt. We got guys training with Aaron Donald in the offseason.
Come on.
Apparently, it's just the open door policy. If you just show up to Aaron Donald's house, if you can just get his address and find where he
With
lives,
some
you
knives. Show up with some knives.
show up with some knives. He's ready to go. Yeah. One thing I do want to point out, because I love pointing out rookies that people need to keep eyes on. Nate Valcarcel came out of Northern Illinois. I doubt they even drafted him. I'm pretty sure he was a free agency signing. There are some established names in the secondary, but by no means are any spots outside of Akila Witherspoon's not up for grabs. Do not be shocked if by midseason you see the name Nate Valcarcel. He is special. Okay.
I got a question for you
Yes.
about Northern Illinois.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you and I were on the Bears together in 2014,
Yep.
there was a quarterback that got drafted. It was probably in 2014. It might
Jordan
have been
Lynch.
Jordan Lynch from Northern Illinois.
Heisman finalist Jordan Lynch, I think.
Take it away. Give me your Jordan Lynch stuff, because he was an amazing guy to watch.
So Jordan Lynch was the second coming of Tim Tebow, and it's not just because he's a buff white quarterback who could run. Jordan Lynch he could do everything. Northern Illinois made it to the Orange Bowl that year. And obviously a MAC team has to really turn heads. This was before the playoffs where, you could play your way in. It was, you had to turn heads and get votes. Jordan Lynch was a Heisman finalist, could do anything, put the team on his back to beat teams that people thought they had no business beating. He could do.
He was the guy that the TV was on Saturday night in the team hotel in the NFL, where we were like betting. Like, I bet Jordan Lynch goes over 100 rushing yards too, or something like that.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The point of this is, the crazy thing about the league is Jordan Lynch shows up and with another 50 guys who are rookies for rookie camp, and you're like, oh, that's the quarterback from Northern Illinois. It was a Heisman finalist. It could do no wrong. It was a badass, consummate pro. And he's like the fifth guy in the rookie minicamp drills, like not even the first guy. Yeah. That's the scary thing about the NFL.
Yeah.
That I just realized. And I remember running, I'll never forget this, running warm-ups, stretch lines next to Jordan Lynch and being like, damn, he's impressive and he moves really well and he's a great guy. And he was obviously a great football player, but he'll probably never see the field. Yeah. It's just wild how different it is.
It is.
Okay. So you
Massively.
just picked, who did you just pick? You just picked I picked the Rams. So we went Browns,
just picked
Rams.
The Rams. So I am going to have to snag. Ooh, I'm torn here. I am going to go with, give me the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh,
give me the Dallas Cowboys. Give me Matt Eberflus revenge tour. Not many positive things have been said about Matt Eberflus for the past couple of years. He's going to shut a whole lot of people up. He's strictly focusing on the defense. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this offense, obviously, it's going to all revolve around Dak, but they're going to find a way to stay on the field. They're going to be able to run the ball well enough. Obviously, you have CeeDee Lamb. You got guys. You have George Pickens. So, yeah, I'm over here trying to second guess it. Nope, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. They traded for Kyer Elam. Maybe he can provide some depth to a really injured cornerback room. You need to get Trayvon Diggs healthy. Deron Bland needs to get back to the interception machine that he's been. One thing I love about Dallas, outside of obviously Micah Parsons, who needs to be paid, by the way, is they are deep. They probably have the deepest safety room in the NFL. Like, there's guys like Wanye Thomas who would be starting at the majority of NFL teams who are just kind of in the rotation at Dallas. They are deep there, and they're deep at the pass rush as well. But they have to get healthy. DeMarvin Overshown back-to-back seasons injured. So it's more of a potential pick. Yeah, it's more going off of potential if things go right. But I can't pass up Dallas. Matt Eberflus is about to get his name back in the good graces of the league.
You know what? And I love that tip of the cap to Matt Eberflus, because Last week, I went on CBS Sports HQ down here in Fort Lauderdale, and they asked me about the Bears. They were doing a segment about the Bears. They said, "What was the biggest loss of the offseason?" And I said, "Matt Eberflus, not the head coach, but the defensive coordinator."
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot to be desired of the head coaching department there, but as a defensive coordinator, when it's proven that you can lead groups that play well week in, week out, despite injury, despite youth, that is telling of a good coach. And now he gets an opportunity to only solely focus on the defense, on what you were talking about as a redemption, renaissance tour for Matt Eberflus. It's going to be fun. And if you're going to bank on a guy having a good season that you don't know much about, bet on Jack Sanborn, who was a Chicago Bear, and now he's a Dallas Cowboy. He's going to get some sand burn. Okay. I'll be here all week. Okay, so you already took the Browns. I'm going to go with – so your potential – you were talking about the potential that this defense has makes me want to jump up and get the Giants. I really want to jump up and get the Giants, but I'm not going to get the Giants. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers because we kind of know what we got there. I feel like it's just an older version of last year's group minus Joey Bosa. And, Joey Bosa obviously is in Buffalo with a calf strain. But they got a ton of production out of Tuli Tuipulotu.
There you go.
Last year when he filled in. And if you ever want to see Cinderblock play football, go watch Tuipulotu, okay? Because he is a leverage.
The Samoan Cinderblock. I like it.
He is a leverage machine. He's like somebody filled up a bag of sand in one of those, those sacks that you do races in? Fill that with sand and try to move it. It's really hard. And if it's coming at you at high speed, you're not going to be able to stop it. He rushes the passer great. He's going to fill right in. And he did so last year when he was asked to play for that group. So Khalil Mack is back. You and I both know Khalil Mack is an ageless wonder. One of these guys that continues to show up and is healthy and is a part of that defense, obviously a leader. When I think about the type of football that they're planning to play, they're going to pound people up front on the offensive line. They're going to throw deep bombs, and they're going to play good, solid defense. It starts with the pass rush. With guys like Mack and Tuli, they're going to be getting after it. And obviously, the back end is a talented group, and I can let you talk about the back end of this defense.
Yeah, and the fact that back end added in Benji St-Juste from Washington, a guy who's going to be rotating in. They lose Christian Fulton to Kansas City, but Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still out of Notre Dame and Maryland, respectfully, young guys who can ball. Now you get a vet in Benji. They're going to be special. You have Bud Dupree rotating in with Tuli and Khalil Mack. You got guys there. And Deion Henley, by the way.
Yep.
I don't know what he's listed as. He's not a centimeter over 5'11". Short guy, wears number 0, flying all over the place. A Harbaugh guy through and through. 84 tackles a year ago. Expect him to build upon that and become a household name as an off-ball linebacker by year's end.